Senate. We're very happy to have him. I'm pleased to have him with us. He's always been a good partner in public safety and law enforcement. And so we're here today to announce a piece of legislation that he has worked on. I will say a little bit about the bill itself, a little bit about how it's structured. I will comment on how it affects us generally, and then specifically for my office. I'll then turn it over to Senator McClendon to comment and explain further, and then we'll give you all a chance to ask questions of either one of us as you see fit. So anyways, this bill is called the MICE Act, M-I-C-E, Mississippi Immigration Custom Enforcement. So the bill essentially is really simple at its core. It's a very meat and potatoes bill. It's a one-pager. It's very simple, but it essentially creates a MICE division or a new division under the Department of Public Safety umbrella. This division would coordinate efforts to fulfill immigration enforcement at the federal and state level. The way it would basically work is, with this new department, there would be a division director that would be in charge of overseeing to make sure that the efforts are falling in line with state and federal laws to promote and facilitate the deportation of illegal immigrants. One of the better parts of the bill, I think, is how it incorporates the 287G program. If you look at the Immigration Nationality Act, they have a subsection 287G, which is essentially like a task force where local deputies or police officers can participate. They receive a little bit of training, and then they have the basically limited authority and power to effectuate arrest on illegal immigrants. And so, whereas now, if there is an arrest made and the individual meets the criteria for an ICE hold, or they have to call ICE, wait for ICE to show up, and as we know, ICE only has so many boots on the ground, and so enabling the municipalities and sheriff's departments to participate in a very structured way would help basically act as a force multiplier so that more can get done. If we want to see optimal effectiveness of these immigration enforcement, it's going to take a lot of coordination with state and local authorities. We can't rely on just the federal government to get that done. The bill allows for funding for the Department of Public Safety to issue grants and supplements to various departments that participate in the 287G program. It does not mandate that every department participates in a 287G contract, but it does provide an incentive for those that do to help with overtime pay, vehicles, or what have you. All of our law enforcement are stretched thin, working hard, and they do a great job. And so when you put something else on their plate, we need to supplement their income and make it worth it for them. So this bill is an appropriation bill that creates a new division in DPS, and it also provides a structure for the departments that want to participate in the 287G program to have the funding to do that. So this bill is important because it allows Mississippi to participate in a meaningful way with a problem that we are all aware of. This is an issue that President Trump essentially put on the ballot. And with all the campaign rhetoric, he basically gave voters a choice, and they voted by and large for this with big numbers. Trump had a very big victory, quite frankly, in Mississippi, and so this aligns with those priorities that he said that he was going to bring with him to the White House, and this is a way for Mississippi to support that. There's a lot of effort across the country for various states to participate. I have a map here that Senator will hold. There are a lot of bills and efforts throughout throughout the country, but you'll see in this map, this shows states where they have either pro-illegal immigrant or anti-illegal immigrant bills. And in the green, you'll see kind of liberal, more sanctuary type policies being passed. In the purple, the darkest purple, you'll see kind of the stronger border type policies and states that are trying to effectuate, an enforcement of the immigration laws. And then in the white, you'll see the states that are doing absolutely nothing. And so you'll see in Mississippi, there has been no policy passed. This was a 2024 map. Now that we're in 2025, Mississippi is the same. So you can see every state around us is doing something in varying degrees, but Mississippi is yet to participate at all. And so until Senator McClendon is hoping to change that. And so this kind of highlights the need for what we're doing. And this isn't like a issue that's happened overnight. If we look back to 2019, Mississippi had the largest single state worksite enforcement operation in nation's history. There were nearly 700 people detained, and that was just in one swoop. That's 2019. Things haven't gotten any better since then. I'll speak from a more local perspective. In our county jail here in DeSoto County, we've had over 1,000 people that were illegal immigrants come through our jail here in Hernando. That is more than twice the amount of people in the 4 years prior. So if we were doing this in 2019, setting a national record, and since then we still haven't made a single bill or effort, then clearly we're on the wrong trajectory in Mississippi. The state auditors did a report where you can go to their website and look at their reports tabs and see the cost of illegal immigration on the Mississippi taxpayer, and through conservative measures, they have concluded that it costs Mississippi more than $100 million every single year due to illegal immigration. So we've had this kind of buildup, and all of our politicians, y'all don't have to hold that any longer if you don't want to, it's up to you. But we've heard over the last 4 years, and so many politicians at every level, whether it's House Rep, Board of Supervisors, state senators, all the way up, talk about the failure of the Biden administration as it relates to the border. It's been an ongoing theme. People use it to get elected. When you look at the lieutenant governor race, Delbert Hosemann versus Chris McDaniel, they were both arguing over who is Trump's favorite. It was a big deal. They were both trying to put themselves out as the Trump chosen one, so to speak. And this was all Trump was talking about that whole time. And so people use Trump's name, they use his rhetoric, they complain about the Biden failures at the border, and they do that because it helps them get elected. And now that they are elected, this is their opportunity to actually act on that rhetoric and show us, were you just trying to get votes, or is that what you really meant? So this is a great opportunity for the state of Mississippi to actually get involved. And the media has done a great job reporting on this issue in Mississippi. They asked the governor about certain proposals in the past, and he said that there was nothing off the table when it came to public safety. And so we are putting something on the table right now that he can work with. And I'm hopeful that he and other leaders in Jackson will take notice of what's going on, and that they will be diligent in their efforts to find a solution. So, I've talked a little bit about, the broader sense of the state of Mississippi, but I'm representing DeSoto County. I was elected here, and I want to talk about DeSoto County. So here to my right, I have a display of the individuals who were arrested since the turn of 2025. So this represents someone just about every other day. 13 of these towards the top in orange are DUIs. Several of the others are felonies. Some of these include people who were residing in Memphis and then coming to DeSoto County to steal cars. And I can tell you I've prosecuted several cases where it starts out as a car theft and turns into a shooting when the police show up and start trying to deal with it. You can reference the Kyle Dotson case that I tried last year, where the police officer was shot at 13 times over the attempt to steal a vehicle. So that's how they start. This is how they end. This is Mr. Perez Lopez. We prosecuted him in my office last year for a DUI death. He is from Guatemala. He had fake documentation, and he lied to the police about who he was, and we found out the truth, and he is now serving a 20-year sentence in the Department of Corrections for DUI death. So it starts out here, and it turns here. What I'm saying to the people in DeSoto County is I don't want to wait until these guys do this to do something about it. I'd rather just go ahead and get them out of here, send them back to their country of origin, and they can break the law there after we get our pound of flesh in Mississippi. So you see, Mr. Lopez is not the only one. This is Cesar Omar Meraz. He was arrested in Hernando, Mississippi, small little quaint town. We're all very proud of it, those of us who live here. But this gentleman did not belong. He was arrested for federal drug trafficking. He is currently in custody in Oklahoma in a federal facility. He is from Mexico. He was arrested here with no legal status. When you think about drug dealers and the movies and cartels and like the bad stuff, well, this is it, right here in lovely Hernando. So he's currently in federal custody, and hopefully when they're done with him, he can go somewhere else too. This is Mr. Escamilla. He is currently being prosecuted for molesting and sexual battery offenses against minor children. So that is an ongoing case to bring it right to today. So we're not talking about the people that are here trying to live the American dream and better themselves and their families. We're talking about people that are ending up in the jail doing the wrong thing. And we're not talking about separating families. Every one of these people decided to separate themselves from their families when they went to jail. So here in Hernando, we have an issue. And it is representative of the same issues that's in every community across the country. There's no one that's immune from this. It's just a real problem we have to deal with. And fortunately, we have leaders like Senator McClendon who want to deal with it. And so I'm going to turn it over to Senator McClendon for further comment.
Thank you, District Attorney Barton. First, I want to thank District Attorney Barton's staff, his detectives, his prosecutors. I also want to thank Sheriff Tuggle. I want to thank every police chief here in DeSoto County and all the municipalities. Chief Shane Ellis of the City of Hernando, my police chief. I want to thank the Mississippi Highway Patrol. All these people have very tough jobs, and we don't need to be adding to it as a federal government, making that job tougher. You know, we've grown leaps and bounds in DeSoto County. We're growing our own criminals now. We don't need the help of the federal government bringing criminals to us with an open border that the Biden and Harris administration gave us. To be real brief, this state has, we've been very blessed the last few years with an influx of money. But it's sickening to know that we have 350 plus criminals in our Mississippi Department of Corrections system at $65.35 some odd cents a day, not counting medical expenses, which comes to $8 million a year that we house illegal immigrants that are criminals. Let me rephrase that, criminals. And with the situation that we've had this past weekend, it just brings more of a light to what we've got going. Mississippi Department of Corrections came to Appropriations Subcommittee and said they need another $150 million for medical expenses. Well, we got 350 there that could be into that money. Now, I work with some of the smartest and brightest people in the state of Mississippi, in the Mississippi legislature. And I know for a fact that we can come up with a way to get these criminals out of our local jails and out of Mississippi Department of Corrections custody and put them in federal prisons. There is no reason that Mississippi should be paying $8+ million a year to house these folks. Now, that's not just this year. That's the next year, and the next year, and the next year, compounded. Now, for 5 years, I have been working, trying to get an exit at Commerce and 55, and I keep getting told there's not enough money. Well, by golly, I got the down payment right here. I got $8 million. We just did pre-construction studies. It's $19 million. I dropped an appropriation bill for that bridge at Commerce and 55. Hernando desperately needs it. This is one of the most small-town Mayberry places that houses 21,000 people in America, a place where everyone wants to move to. A new high school that's been built that opens in this coming fall that's already full. Already full. And yet we have people in our community that have come here illegally and are threatening our grandmothers, our wives, our children, our teachers, ourselves, and flip it to where our sons, our grandsons, our husbands, our coaches, whoever it might be. And it's time to come to a stop. We had a meeting this past week with Commissioner Burl Cain, Department of Corrections. We had a meeting with also, everyone in this meeting was Commissioner Sean Tyndall, Mississippi Department of Public Safety. Governor's liaison was there because he was this past week with President Trump talking about this kind of issue and every other issues that Mississippi has. They had great conversations. So he's on board with this. Everyone's on board with trying to get these criminals out of Mississippi. And this is a way to do it. It's so simple. A one-page bill, $500,000 appropriation to the Department of Public Safety to come up with an illegal immigration criminal czar that will help deputize and train officers. These aren't people off the street. These are officers, whether they work for municipality, whether they work for the Highway Patrol, whether they work for the Sheriff's Department. Whoever it might be can be part of it, and it's a way to supplement their income to help with the transfer of ICE. Now, I'm not a law enforcement person, and I don't know all the ins and outs and the intricate things that must go on with a transfer like that. But I do know this. I know that hardworking taxpayers of Mississippi deserve better. We do not deserve to have to house over 350 plus, and that's this year. We keep adding to the problem. And that's just DeSoto County. There's 81 other counties, people. 82 counties in Mississippi have this same issue. And they keep coming and coming and trying to destroy our communities. You know, this program's named MICE. I would really love it to be named Big Cat because it takes a big cat to run off the very large rats that they're having to chase. And believe me, it's rats coming out of the border. Not just south border, northern border, and everywhere else. So I am proud to say, and I'm just going to read the opening act, an act making appropriation establishing an immigration enforcement division within the Department of Public Safety, incentives, appointing an enforcement director for the division, and providing incentives for local law enforcement agencies to engage in a partnership program with federal immigration authorities under Section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act for the fiscal year of 2026. And like I say, I don't know of one of my compadres that shouldn't be for this. And for $500,000 investment to collect $8 million that we've got going out every year, you know, even second grade math right there can tell you we're going to be in the plus. And with all of our issues with education, teachers needing money, infrastructure, and all these other things that we've got going on, you know, let's get rid of that, and then maybe we can help those that need help. Wouldn't that be something? To take this $8 million that we house these folks on this cardboard and give it to people that need it. I want to thank all y'all for being here and giving me the opportunity to speak. And I want to thank the taxpayers of DeSoto County and all the voters of District 1 in Mississippi, and especially those in Hernando, all my neighbors, to allow me to be able to come up with something like this for you. And with that, I'll turn it back over to District Attorney, and if he wants to engage in any questions, I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we can take a few questions. Yes.
Hi, good morning, District Attorney Barton. I know over the weekend there was an arrest of 19-year-old Diego Velasquez Espino in that camper alert. Do we know his immigration status, or is there anything on the way we can expect with that case?
So we have been in touch with federal authorities as well as local authorities about that case. I am still waiting for certain information to come in before I can really elaborate, because I don't want to answer that without knowing for 100% certainty. I'm hopeful that by the end of the week we'll have that. For now, I'm with you. I'm kind of waiting for some of that Monday information to roll in. Yes, sir.
My question is more towards State Senator McClendon. How would this bill kind of compare to the other immigration bills last year, all of which have failed?
Well, I don't like to live in the past. I like to live in the present and strive for the future. I've got 2 sons with 2 beautiful wives. I've got a grandbaby, and I got 2 grandbabies on the way. And I want to protect them. I want them to live the life that they deserve. And Mississippi is on an upward plane. And by golly, let's don't live in the past. Let's live with what we have in front of us, and let's make this place a better place. And I thank you for that question.
Just a quick point of clarification here. One, that $8 million is solely just here in DeSoto County that you're talking about?
No, ma'am, that's statewide. That's Mississippi Department of Corrections. $8 million plus, because medical expenses are skyrocketing. Not only for you, for my teachers, for my folks building roads, it also is escalating for people that are incarcerated. And they deserve just as much medical as we do. So it's an $8 million plus that continues to go up with the adding on to criminals. So $500,000 is just a mere investment. And then we get these criminals put in federal penitentiaries. They don't need to be under Mississippi Department of Corrections. And that's where we need President Trump to come in and accept what we have, and he can put them in federal prisons or wherever they so be see it. But let's get these folks out of Mississippi, and let's keep them out of Mississippi, these ones that want to do bad. There's folks here working hard. Let's continue to drive our economy, but yet the people that want to do bad, we don't need them. Yes, ma'am? This bill has been introduced, and it should be numbered up this afternoon. Again, it was dropped last week, but there's been some delay in the Senate due to some circumstances that were beyond our control.
How confident do you feel moving forward that this bill will actually pass? Because just not just based on the numbers and the investment, just straight up from the map that you just got finished showing, that said Mississippi doesn't have any immigration bill that will pass. I just want to make sure. How confident do you feel?
I can assure you that our governor and every legislature with the 52 senators and all the House of Representatives, and anybody associated with it, Attorney General, State Auditor, Ag Commissioner, everyone wants some color on that map where that river runs down beside it. And there ain't nobody that wants it more than me. Because the place I live right here in DeSoto County, I would fight to the death for it. And believe me, I feel I'm in a death fight. We are in a fight for our children's future. And that map needs to be colored up. And that's the reason for this bill. And I thank you.
Senator, do you expect additional authors to the bill to join you?
I absolutely do. I don't expect, I've already got names of folks that are, please put me on it, please put me on it. I anticipate that there will be 51. We're down one senator, so, and that special election's coming up, but we have 51 senators to this date. And I would be surprised if all 51 are not on it.
Kind of a temperature check about support in the Senate for this bill, and also on the House side, have you done some early checking around Capitol to see what they may think of this?
Well, this bill was dropped on both sides by Representative Justin Keene on the House side, and I neglected to say when we had the meeting the other day, Speaker Jason White was also in that meeting, and he was all for it. So if we've got leadership on the House, we've got representatives that represent rural Mississippi, they represent metropolitan Mississippi, the coast, all over. Yeah, you know, we don't like to talk about tidal. I know the coast senators don't like to talk about tidal waves, but I could see this being a tidal wave of a push. Lieutenant Governor would have been there at the meeting, but he was a little under the weather that day from dehydration, but he's doing fine. I want everybody to know that right now. But yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, I do believe that we will have many, many people on this bill.
Go ahead. I was just well, then the governor, he's got to have his ink on it.
Well, you know what? I've been texting the governor. He and I have been in communication from last night to this morning. And if anybody is on the Trump agenda, I can assure you, Governor Tate Reeves, you can go back and look at his speech from this past January. Nobody is on page with President Donald Trump any more than Governor Tate Reeves. And yes, sir, I think he's a firm believer in this bill.
Yeah, Martin, just want to go back to what Kayla asked about real quickly here, the incident of the weekend, the Amber Alert. He's in DeSoto County custody right now. We talk so often about, you know, the state lines and law enforcement working together. We just want to get your reaction to, you know, this arrest and this whole case.
Well, I'm being a little careful to be limited on what I say before I see the file. But I'll say my initial reaction is I'm very pleased to see that an incident that happened in Memphis. By the way, I was in Memphis when the alert went off. I was at Bass Pro Shop, and so I saw the Amber Alert like everybody else, and I was like, oh, geez, what's going on in Memphis? And then it made its way down to South Haven, and so I know there's a coordinated effort across state lines and multiple agencies to work hard on this, and I'm always very pleased to see that when Memphis is a good neighbor to us and works with us, and we try to be good neighbors to them. I think this was an example of units working together to try to get something done quickly, and I'm glad the situation didn't turn out to be any worse than some of us were afraid of in the beginning. So I guess all I can really say is I'm happy that everyone's working together, and that's something we can always build on. And I'll backtrack a little bit. You asked about cost a little bit, and Senator McClendon talked about Senator McClendon talked about kind of the state cost. So I'll bring that down to more local cost. So if we're talking about DeSoto County specifically, we spent over $100,000 housing illegal immigrants in the county jail. And so county jails are different than MDOC jail. It's different budget, it's a totally different thing, state and county. So at the county level, we're seeing a large expense before they ever make it to MDOC. And MDOC deals with all the felony crimes and you know, housing them from a state level. That doesn't touch on all the misdemeanors and stuff that goes on in, you know, our city and justice courts. So it's a large number there too. I can't speak on that from a statewide perspective, but in DeSoto County, we spent over $100,000 on that last year, and that's a good chunk of change for anywhere, I do believe. So we can take one more question if you have any. If not, we can be done.
And look, that $8 million was strictly Mississippi Department of Corrections from people that have been convicted and sent to Department of Corrections. That doesn't count. He just said what DeSoto County had. I haven't added up what the other 81 counties. The coast has quite a bit of issue with some illegal immigration criminals. So it's a big number, big number.
Did you have the last question?
Yeah, Senator, so would this be prioritizing illegal immigrants who have committed violent crimes who are already in prison, or so prioritizing putting in federal prison people who have committed violent crimes versus smaller misdemeanor stuff, or is it kind of doing it equally?
What was talked about in the meeting, and again, this is kicking around, and once legislators get their fingers on a bill, things get added to or taken away. My vision, and I believe District Attorney's vision and Representative Keene's vision, was if we have smaller misdemeanors, let's parole those and send them packing. Let's get them out of the country where they came from. The violent people that have done harm, people that have done serious jail time, those folks need to be in a federal penitentiary, not Parchman, where we're overcrowded. You know, we've got our own issues at Parchman. We don't need it added to. And that's why it was imperative that these borders were closed. And I'm not against people coming in and being Americans. I am all for folks coming here and being productive citizens and doing it the right way. Please, it's the folks that have no regard to health or the well-being of others. I mean, we're talking about despicable jackals that are going around murdering, raping, and pillaging our communities. That's the ones that I want sent to the federal penitentiary or wherever the Trump administration sees fit to send them. And thank you for that question. And I appreciate all y'all being there, and I appreciate all y'all having me here, but I've got to get to Jackson. Session starts at 4 o'clock, and I promised the Highway Patrol I would not speed going down there. And thank y'all.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.